Hi, I'm Mark Mifflin, the president-elect of the Illinois Association of Defense Trial Counsel, and I'm a member of the Legislative Committee. I'm here to provide you an advocacy report from the Legislative Committee. It's March 3rd, 2016. The General Assembly has been in session this week. Both the House and the Senate have been here, and they really are getting into some of the substantive committee actions at this time. The major problem, though, and the most of the discussion still centers around the ongoing dispute between Governor Rauner and the Democratic leadership in the House and the Senate. There's still no resolution of those, and until those get resolved, a lot of the legislative business will remain on hold. The other thing at this point is that the primary election is coming up in a couple of weeks on March 15th, so a lot of the legislators are focused on their reelection campaigns, and a lot of the issues being brought up are being delayed until after, so that no votes will be taken until after the primary election in March. In fact, the House adjourned today and will not be back until April 4th. The Senate adjourned today, and they're coming back for the next couple of weeks, and including primary week. But then they're going to be off for a couple of weeks after the primary, so there's going to be limited activity in the month of March. Then it will pick up in April and May, and the spring session is scheduled to end at the end of May. The governor continues to push for his turnaround agenda, which includes some of the issues that the Illinois Defense Council is interested in. Some of the tort reform issues, some of the work comp issues are still on the burner for the governor, but like I said, there's not much activity on those issues at this time until there's a bigger bargain, including the budget and maybe pensions and taxes, the other issues that are out there that need to be addressed. We are working on many bills, though, for the Illinois Defense Council. The Legislative Committee is reviewing all the legislation and has selected a list of bills to be included. You can go, if you're an Illinois Defense Council member, you can go to the homepage, go to the advocacy link, and then there's a link from the advocacy site to the legislative watch list that includes a list of all the bills which we're watching and the status of each of those bills. We are especially interested in our bills, of course. That's Senate Bill 2310 and House Bill 4426, which deal with joint and several liability. Those bills have not been posted yet for hearing in either the House or the Senate committees, and they may not get posted. They're not favorites of the Democratic leadership, of course, so but we have them out there. We are talking about them. The Republican legislators are pushing them for us. Senator Radonio, the leader of the Senate for the Republicans, and Ron Sandak, Representative Ron Sandak in the House, is the minority spokesman on the Judiciary Committee. So they are being very helpful in sponsoring our legislation, or we're helping them with their legislation. So we look forward to hearings in those if at all possible. We're also following the six-person jury issues. There are several bills, including one from Representative Sandak, House Bill 4473, which would repeal the six-person jury law and move it back to the way it was before with the 12-person jury. And we're very much in favor of that. In fact, we are also monitoring the case in Cook County Circuit Court. The KAKOS, K-A-K-O-S is the name of that case, where Judge Gomolinsky has declared the six-person jury law unconstitutional. Now, briefs will be, the record is to be filed in that case by March 23rd, so the briefing schedule will be set after that time. But there's an motion to expedite the case filed by the appellees, the people that claim the law is unconstitutional. So that that might be expedited before that, or before those dates. But that, as far as I know, I don't believe that motion to expedite has been ruled upon yet. So we're watching that also in conjunction with the legislation on the same issue. And it's anticipated that the Illinois Defense Council will file an amicus brief on behalf of the appellees when the time comes in the case. Some of the other bills we're watching, and I'm not by any means going to go through all of them, but I did want to just point out to you to give you an idea of the issues that we're watching and the kinds of things that we're doing. House Bill 6083 would apply the discovery rule to the statute of limitations in wrongful death cases. Right now, the statute is 2 years from the death, but that the bill as drafted would extend that to 2 years after the death is discovered to be a result of the wrongful act. So we're opposed to that. We've talked to the sponsor and the staff about that bill. There are amendments being considered which will likely be put on the bill, which will very much limit the scope of what they're trying to do to criminal cases and cold cases that are solved So we think that the amendments might satisfy us. We have not seen the language in the amendments yet, but we are working with the legislators and the staffs to try to get that put together. Senate Bill 2507 would subject insurance information such as the reserves, which is the problem, as well as the amounts of insurance, to the Freedom of Information Act. We are objecting to that because the amount of reserves in our particular cases would be important for the plaintiffs to know in evaluating potential settlement with us. So we'll be objecting to that bill. Senate Bill 2801, it deals with the Peppers Counsel issue and the conflict, how to resolve the conflicts. The insurance industry is involved in that with the Illinois Defense Counsel, and there are several other interested groups, the trial lawyers, the Illinois State Bar Association, and the Med Society insurance company are also involved in that issue, or interested in that issue. Not sure where that's going to head yet, but there have been discussions about that. Senate Bill 3070 would reinstate the public duty rule and overrule the recent Supreme Court case that abolished the public duty rule for municipalities or for local governments. The House Bill 4986 deals with confidential health care credentials. They are confidential, but the court decision says they are not privileged. The bill would say that those are privileged as well as confidential. It's not moving yet at this time. We have offered our assistance to the medical people, the Med Society, but I'm not sure that whether that bill will move or not. On a related matter, exactly the other step, it's Senate Bill 2744 would repeal the Medical Studies Act, and of course we're opposed to that, and the Medical Society and the Hospital Association are opposed to that. So we're working with our friends on those issues to see if we can be of assistance in that regard. That's really all the bills I wanted to point out specifically to you. You can check all the bills on the list. I would like to remind everybody that the Illinois Defense Council Legislative Day is April 12th here in Springfield at 5 o'clock at the Sangamo Club. So if you can make it, please plan to attend. We'd love to have you there and meet some of the legislators and meet the IDC officers and the legislative committee and the board. So come if you can. There will be more information in your email from the Illinois Defense Council on that issue. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact the IDC. Any of the board members can answer your questions, or Sandra Wolf can get the questions to the right person to get answered. So we're doing what we can. If you have any thoughts, or if you know your legislator, you can contact your legislator about these issues. If you want additional information from us before you do that, we'll be glad to supply that to you. We encourage your involvement, and we would appreciate your involvement. Thank you very much.